Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith again, and this is Hallie again. We just got done shooting the last one, and she said something during that last one that kind of made me spin off into what we're going to be talking about on this. She and I have talked about it to some extent. Some of you have left messages or comments in the previous videos regarding this, and so I want to talk about it. And I keep forgetting, and I'm sorry, to welcome all of the new subscribers, both on YouTube and on Patreon. It's just great. We keep growing and growing and growing, and it really wasn't my intent. I guess times are just getting more interesting, and it's important that we talk about these things, talk about them intelligently, talk about them in ways that are not designed just to scare the bejeebies out of us, but actually give us some direction and discuss what's happening, what we think is going to happen, and what we're going to do about it. And if you're not on Patreon, I always put the link down here, so I'd love to have you. I always say that I have the smartest commenters in YouTube land, and they definitely are here on YouTube, and it gets even better and deeper over on Patreon. So if that is kind of what you think you're about, we'd love to have you over there. Okay. Hallie said something in the last one. Now, she has a photographic memory. I don't. I can't tell you what I had for breakfast this morning because it's already over and done with, and so it's not on my mind anymore. But she can go back and just delineate everything that we've talked about, and she just did. That's why I know. since she came past today, and everything that we've talked about and where we were and in order. I'm glad she's here. But anyway, she brought up something in the last one that made me realize we needed to do another video. Still here in our undisclosed location, super secret, and it's not secret. It's a barn. Okay, but you don't know where the barn is, do you? And that is the subject of it, and our circle. She's one of you hear me talk about my circle of friends. We don't call it a MAGA group or anything. Circle of friends. She's one of our circle of friends. And we are extremely heavy in the medical, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a good thing they're all good with guns, too. But I learned so much. And I don't know squat about medical stuff. I mean, I have some aspirin. But she's she's one of my go-tos on the medical stuff. Well, we talked about what's happening with all the demonstrations and all of the mandates and all the layoffs and all of the healthcare delivery systems, the healthcare systems, the hospitals, requiring certain things of their staff in order to keep their jobs, and the thousands and thousands of top level, first level clinical healthcare deliverers, first responders, first receivers, all of those people who are leaving in droves. And that is going to have a devastating effect on those people who need health care, because who's leaving in the systems that we know of is the top level people, isn't it?
Everybody.
Yeah. Everybody. And it is the top level. It's not, and I don't mean to diminish anybody, but it's we're talking about the CRNs and the ER nurses and the critical response nurses and the ICU nurses and
supervisors.
Yeah.
We had a couple supervisors put in.
So it is not the, and these are the people who have been in this. This has been their profession for 15, 20, 30 years. These are the people that save the lives when the borderline cases come in. And these spots are being filled by new nurses. And that's a threat to the quality of the healthcare delivery that we're seeing. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
You want to expand on it?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Go ahead.
So, would you rather get information from a brand new, inexperienced, naive, young person, whether it be information about religion, education, or your own health care? Or would you rather have somebody who's been in it a long time, have had experience, have learned from others' mistakes, someone who can tell you other ways that can adapt, and overcome any situation? Let's say you run out of a certain supply, you can make your own supply to handle the bleeding. Those are small things that make a huge impact on the quality of healthcare.
That's right, and it's a matter of experience in that, not learning out of a book. We've got a lot of people out there kind of throwing around some medical information who we can tell have learned it out of a book. Even I can tell, and I'm not a medical person. These others can see. Okay, well they're well met, and it's good. It's good they're getting it out there. But there's a difference between learning something from someone who has learned it out of a book and somebody who has done it for a living for a long time. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Right. So our question here, and I'm going to put forth this question. I'm going to let you run with it if you don't mind.
Sure.
And you know me, I'll probably interrupt or interject. We call it interject when we do it to each other. We're going to have a need. We're going to have a continuing need for health care from people who, because the system is pushing them outside of it, because they won't allow something to be done to their bodies that they don't want to be done to their bodies. That used to be called a crime, didn't it? So that we're going to have those that many of them are not able to access health care. And then we're going to have an amazing number of people who have been pushed out of their health care positions because they won't allow this to be done with them. Right?
Yeah.
And these are some of the best. Now, this kind of spins it up to the best of both worlds. The people who want to stand up for their rights are going to be able to be helped by the people who are best in the business. That's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. Go ahead. What do you think? How do you see this? You're directly in the business. I'm ancillary in the business. How do you see this developing?
Well, let's start where it is now.
Okay.
Right now, where I work is a low SES, low social economic. What's the BOS stand for? Socially economic standard, something like that. So basically, it's low income city, and there's a lot of people who call and they use my job as a backup instead of just going to an urgent care or something.
She's a medic.
Yeah. So they call us for a cut on their finger, so they're taking their resources off of the streets for people who actually get into a car wreck, right? Let's say all of our vehicles are helping somebody on those little calls who could have taken themselves, or, if it was a different area and they had a car, they could have, or they didn't have a car, someone would take them, or they'd take themselves, or they would go to the urgent care because the ER doesn't charge you right then and there. They can't turn you away, but the urgent care can if you don't have that down payment. Most of the people don't have the down payment, so they're using us. Uber taxis. That's what I'm calling that. Uber grannies. Anyway, being said, so we're taking all these people to the hospital, and we've got severe car wrecks, and we're low on staff, and you have a certain amount of time before you can get to somebody, before their brain's deprived of oxygen, and they can actually be revived without any brain injuries. If you don't get there on time because you don't have somebody on that call, it's kind of hard. So, not enough manpower. You go to the hospitals, everybody from the hospitals are leaving. CRNs, ED nurses, charge nurses. So, you've got people in the halls. You've got,
And she, excuse me for interjecting, I usually see one hospital. She sees hospitals all over the metro area, right? She's in all these hospitals, so she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah, so, because we'll ask and say, who's on high volume? High volume means that they have more patients and they have the resources to care for them. So there's people out in the waiting room, waiting forever. So, and then sometimes if they're at capacity, that's even worse. That means they cannot take anybody else because they literally can barely handle the patients they have then. All right, that's because you're low. Your staff is so low. Well, if your staff is low and you can't take care of these patients, then those nurses or all of the staff and the EMS and then the hospital, they're going to get angry because we're human. We're people too. We see a lot of things that we necessarily shouldn't see. we get angry. We don't get to sit there and cope. We go to the next call. We run something bad. We have to keep on next and next. If we see anything from something that a person shouldn't be living in that situation to, I can't believe I just saw that. Like, your brain is stained with that forever. You have to compartmentalize it. So
she was the first medic on the scene of that police officer who was killed in Independence not too long ago. She didn't get to go home and relax. She had to stay at work and go on more calls.
Yeah, we were pushed out. That was a hard call. So, and then even then, like, I didn't know it bothered me because the scoping seal, you put it away. And then it bothers you, and then every other call that you didn't know bothered you comes up and they bother you too. So you end up emotionally hurt, and then your quality of care already goes down. Let's make you take something that you don't want to take. You're bitter from that too. And then here's my thoughts. You start helping people that don't want to take care of themselves. That's my thing. You work, you get a job. You create a life to where you can provide stability for yourself and your family. That's what it is. That's how it should be. There's a lot of people who choose to live off of the government, and those are the people that we're taking in. And then you get angry. And it's just a swirl of the same things over and over again. And then the patients that actually need the help, the ones who have blood clots, the ones who all of a sudden got Bell's palsy and they didn't deserve it, or the ones who had a stroke suddenly when they were driving
because they took something that they didn't want to.
Exactly.
Because
the medications that you can fix through better life decisions. You can choose to eat better. You can choose to work. We're supposed to work. We're not supposed to sit on our butt. That's not. Have you looked back in history? We've been working since the beginning of time. We didn't have obesity in the BC times. And if we did, then they didn't last very long. It's Darwin's theory. That's what should be happening now. But, sorry if that's crude.
Well, you said something to me funny not long ago and said, let Darwin do his job, right?
Yeah, let him do his job.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do something, then, even in the Bible, it says if a man does not work, he does not eat.
Right.
So why are we providing opportunities to eat? Anyway, sorry, I kind of went off topic with that.
That was a good go. You're exactly right.
Thank you. Well, so we're losing staff, and the staff that are already angry and bitter about the whole situation, their whole careers that they've worked for, it seems kind of meaningless to a point whenever you're working in that revolving door of the same patients because they choose not to take their own healthcare into their own hands or even educate themselves. And then you spend 20 years in this career that was meaningless to begin with, and then you leave it, and because you're forced to, not because it was on your terms, because sorry, I kind of went off on a huge...
No, that was a great... I'm glad you went off onto that.
Huge tangent.
I'll just bring it back here.
Thank you.
Because I was going to let you run with that and then do a separate one on the original one, but we can bring it back and say, I see the development of a secondary healthcare delivery system, right? Almost an underground system by those who have been pushed out, right? Do you see that, and what do you think about that?
I hope for that. I pray for that. That would be awesome, actually, because then it's not going to be the healthcare providers that find the excuses that say it's okay to keep living in the lifestyle that you chose. They tell you need to change, and you change. Eventually, Darwin's theory will take care of the rest.
That's right. And so we're gonna see those of us who are standing up for our rights as individuals. We're really going to have access to some of the best healthcare providers out there, aren't we? Because they're the ones that are leaving. They aren't going to be able to. They're not going to be allowed to operate within the overall structure, the system that's requiring these ridiculous things. Okay, so they're going to be out there. Some of them are looking for jobs in insurance, right? Some of them are who knows what they're doing, but they have this. This is a calling, Healthcare is a calling. And I'm speaking as one who's not in it, but I see these people. I see their dedication, And I used to feel that law enforcement was a calling. I came not to feel that way personally myself, but for these people it is. They want to help people, and they are highly trained. Have invested years and years and years of their lives into this. And I think that we who aren't going to be able perhaps to access the main system are going to have we're going to be able to get care by these people who themselves were pushed out, because there's going to be that affinity between those groups, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. I want to add something about healthcare being a calling. So, the gifts of the Spirit. I believe it's mercy. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Where you want to help
yeah.
and take care of people.
Yeah.
And then the healing.
Yeah.
So, those are one of the gifts of the Spirit. And people who genuinely have received that gift or have that in their spirit, you know, even if they haven't been accepted Christ, you know, and Jesus as Savior, then it's still a part of them and who they are. So they go into that field and they want to help. We do. It's natural for us. It's unnatural to see something happen and walk away.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So to be pushed into a lifestyle where you can't do what you're drawn to is also taking a part of you.
Yeah.
So the people that will get to do the underground healthcare, they're going to do it because that's who they are, and they're going to put their all into it. Especially if it's taken from you, you're going to put your all into it even more.
That's exactly right. You know, that's why they're called angels of mercy. Now, I've seen, you take a person who genuinely wants to help people, like the ones that I know and the ones who are in our circle of friends. These are exceptional people, and they are caring people. But I tell you what, the system in life has just ground them down and beat them down to a point that and those of us who have been in these kinds of situations see it. It hardens you. It knocks the care out of you until you're alone late at night. And my hope for these people is that as these things develop, and if we come to a two-tier healthcare situation, and I'm sure that they'll make it illegal. So, you know, well, hey,
that's not going to stop.
Read, you know, half of the black T-shirts around about, you know, when whatever becomes outlawed, I will be an outlaw. I kind of make fun of that stuff, but, you know, it's a good saying sometimes. I think these people are actually going to be freed from a system that has psychologically and emotionally destroyed them. We may find freedom coming out of this, you know?
I hope we do.
I think we might.
You know, I have a question for you guys. So, if you look back, go to the caveman era, go to instincts, primal instincts. Were we ever meant to be told what to do? No. We were meant to protect ourselves, protect our families, and to reproduce. So we're getting restrictions on all of those in different angles. Yeah. And we're also being suppressed. Even our instincts are being suppressed. So we're getting all these other mental health issues. And you know what's funny is, since the 2000s, mental health has become this huge, like, I'm depressed. It's okay, though. Or, heroes work here.
or I'm proud to be depressed. That's who I am.
Or God took some of the strongest people and made them nurses.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
yeah.
I mean, mercy. It's a gift of the Spirit. Healers. I see it. But
those sayings aren't said and repeated by the good ones. I'll guarantee you that.
No. Yeah. Not at all.
The real heroes never think about themselves as heroes. It's always those marginal people that love to say that they're heroes. In everything. Yeah.
Right.
In everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's because they like to fit in with the system.
Like they found something that made them feel important.
Right.
Well, do we want to stop that here, or do you have anything more to say?
I have one more thing to say.
Okay.
It kind of just went over my head. Oh, here we go. You get sconed for being an individual. You get sconed and outlawed for doing things that are within our nature and that make us feel better and more whole. And then you get rewarded by participating in suppressing the rest and being a part of the system.
That's right.
There we go. That was it.
Time to break out of that, folks.
Yep.
Well, you got something to chew on here. What do you think about it? Give us your stories, your comments, and we'll be back with another one pretty soon. Until then, remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and the preparations that we can make today are the planning for what we're going to do as each step comes our way. But you all have a good day. You want to say goodbye?
Yeah. Bye, guys. Nice to talk with you again. It's been a while.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.